JD Sage, and welcome to another episode of FortuneBuilders.tv. As always, you've got JD Sage in front of the camera. Behind the camera is Mr. David Lupica, making sure that the lighting is right, the camera is tight, the audio is crisp, and we're going to go deep today. We're going to follow our series that we've been talking about. 2 weeks ago, I did the 5 vital steps to launching any marketing campaign. If you haven't seen that show, again, shame on you. Go back and watch that show, okay? And number 3 on the 5 vital steps is to create a system. Well, last week I talked about the 10 steps, an overview for the Bandit sign system. And if you haven't seen that show, what the hell are you waiting for? Go back and watch it. 10 steps I covered last week. Well, this week I'm going to take step number 4 from the 10-step overview I did on the Bandit sign campaign last week, and I'm going to cover just step 4, and I'm going to show you how detailed we get in this process and what our mastery students get to experience on the coaching side of things when they learn from us and how to get detailed and follow our systems. And I'm going to cover just step 4, which is creating a route map, and I'm going to break down a portion of just that system. And I've got some notes for myself today because I didn't want to leave out any tidbits of information in step 4 of creating your route map. So follow me here. We're talking about creating a route map, a map of where you want your Bandit signs to go. That detailed and that specific so that there's no error when you put the signs out, one, and more importantly when you outsource and have someone else do it, that you get the outcome and the result that you want. Alright, so we're going to talk first and foremost, you want to break your area up into between like 4 to 8 different zones, or target regions as Dan likes to call them. So 4 to 8 different zones or target regions as Dan likes to call them. And depending on how big of an area you want to farm, it could be 4, if it's bigger it could be 8. And we've always looked at having our signs within a 20 to 25 minute radius of our office, or driving distance from our office or your home if you work from your home. So number 1 is break up your target area into 4 to 8 different target areas or zones. Okay? Now I should step back for a second and say when we create our route map we can use a couple of different programs. We can use, for example, Google Maps. We can use MapQuest if you want to get a little more sophisticated. Microsoft has a program called Streets and Trips. Or there's, I'm sure, hundreds of other mapping softwares. Obviously, those are some of the big ones. So we're using those types of tools to further develop our system. So the next step in creating our route map is to create 4 to 8 different route maps for each region. Okay, so depending on, let me clarify, depending on how many target zones you specify, so if it's 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, then you're going to create you're going to create a map for each one of those target areas. Okay, so let's just say that we've done 4 target regions. We're going to create 4 maps in one of those different programs. Okay. Then thirdly, we're going to highlight the route that you want the driver to drive in each region. So I'm talking literally about maximizing their time or your time by highlighting the route you want them to drive. Now if that sounds too detailed, that means you're not adding enough detail to your systems, because if you look at a map, there's a certain way someone could drive to maximize their time if they're putting the signs where you want them to go, or you're putting the signs in the right areas. All right, so highlight the route that you want your driver that you hire, or you, if that's you that's driving, to go to maximize your time. Then on this map, you're going to add directional arrows to where you want the signs to be placed. I mean, physically, like putting in red arrows on this map. Okay, of where you want the signs to go. Now this next step is optional, but I recommend it and we recommend it, is to actually drive that route that you've highlighted of where you want the signs to go, so you can see the optimal locations to put the signs, meaning like where are the actual telephone poles, or where are the actual yards that you could use if there was a place, a yard to do that, or some sort of island, for example, in the middle of a street, right? So actually physically driving the route that you've created and finding out where you want the signs to go and putting arrows on that map. Okay, so next step is you're going to take those maps that you've created, and we call them master maps now, and you're going to make, let's just say, 10 copies of each route map. Now why would you want to make 10 copies? Well, if you're going to hire someone, isn't it possible that you may have to fire them and you may have to hire someone else and you may not get that map back, right? So if you've done all this work, make 10 copies, and now you've got 10 copies of your master map for each route. Now, let's say we did 4 target areas, that's 40 copies, 10 for each target area, and now you take those 10 maps and you put them into 4 separate folders. label them Zone 1 or Target Area 1, Target Area 2, Target Area 3, Target Area 4, and now you've got master folders of your route map that you created for your 4 target areas that you're going to put out bandit signs. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you have a system. And that's just one area of the 10 steps that I covered last week on the bandit sign overview system, creating your route map. And that's the level of detail that we teach at. That's the level of detail that if you want to be successful in business, that you need to start thinking about, because when you get detailed in your systems like that, then you can create results, and you can create results in your business and have other people produce those results for you. Okay? And then every time you do something again, you do it faster, you do it quicker, and hopefully you do it more profitably. So those are the steps that I wanted to cover just in step 4 of creating your route map for the bandit sign overview system. Whew, that was a lot, right? Dave's shaking his head, right? Systems, my friends. So in our next step, we're going to cover our deal or no deal.
Deal or no deal?
So deal or no deal is being detailed in your business. Is that a deal or not? Well, absolutely. Based off just what I just covered in the last 5 or 6 minutes, detail is mandatory. I mean, think about it. I just covered one specific area of the 10 steps and how detailed that we get, right? And that level of detail is what allows a business to grow, or just allows you to get outcomes and results that you want by spending less time doing them, or outsourcing and never having to do them, but getting the same result you want. All right? So detail is important. The devil is in the details. Is that a saying? Details in the devil? No, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound... The devil is in the details? Dave, come on, man. All right, I don't know what I'm talking about exactly, but if you know that saying, type it in below the show in the comments section. All right, our last section is our quote of the week.
Quote of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, our quote of the week, I've actually got 2 today, and I was torn. So I said, you know what? I'm in front of the camera, so I'm going to share both. First and foremost, or first quote I have is from one of my mentors, Blair Singer, who I've talked about in the past. People who insist on being alone get to be right about everything, and lonely. People who insist on being alone get to be right about everything, and also lonely. Mr. Blair Singer. Just like that one, it struck me today because real estate is really a team sport. Whether you're a solo operator, you have to have good team players like agents and mortgage brokers and realtors and all the different team members. If you're working in a team, well, no different. If you're part of a family unit, same thing applies, right? Life enjoyment, I think, is about surrounding yourself with the right people. Certainly that's one of the key elements in my opinion. Last quote I wanted to share is a good one, actually, and so I didn't want to leave it out of today's show. Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. Mr. Henry Ford. I think that one sort of speaks for itself, and I wanted to share those 2 quotes with you and a little insight about what I feel they mean. And as importantly, I hope that you enjoyed this week's show. And as always, go below the show, comment on this show, share your feedback, share the show with your friends, right? Share on your social media, and suggest a show through the Suggest a Show section. And stay involved with everything that we do at Fortune Builders, CT Homes, and certainly FBTV on a weekly basis. See you on the next show.